Hello and welcome. I'm Master Lama Rasaji, and this is the Thursday edition of Rasaji Speaks. I'm so happy that you could be here today. I know it's nice to be on the other side of Hump Day, moving into the weekend. You probably getting excited. Lama G is stoked out, getting some rest. I'm really pumped up. Today's title is Embracing Your Dharma, Life Lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. Embracing Your Dharma, Life Lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. If that's how you say it. Well, the Bhagavad Gita is supposed to be one of the Puranas. A lot of people think that there's the Vedas, and they are teaching principles of the Vedas, but it's actually considered a folklore, a Purana, which basically means, some people say Purana means God speaks in Sanskrit, right? The Shiva Purana, probably the oldest caption written on the planet, basically is saying God speaks. Shiva, manifestation of God, God speaks, right? But Puranas really, when you break it down by the academia that has studied Hindu and Indian folklore for thousands, literally thousands of years, said it's that story that became epic. They use that word epic. And one of those is the Bhagavad Gita, as is the Ramayana. Those are two classified as huge Puranas, right? And life's lessons about them. Think about them. Your Dharma. Well, Dharma is Sanskrit for our path or our pathway. If I'm a Taoist, I'm saying the way. Jesus said, I am the way, I am the light. He could have said, I am the Tao. All right? Pronounced T-A-O, but it's pronounced, D-A-O, spelled T-A-O, Dao, Dao. That's how you pronounce it with that little Mandarin swing in Chinese, right? Dharma, Dharma is how you pronounce Dharma if you put that Sanskrit swing to it, right? So it's really beautiful. So our path, our way. So if you look at it from an epic, you're thinking about what happened on that battlefield. What led? Because the underneath caption of the Bhagavad Gita, in other words, the small text underneath the big text, the subtext, if you will, was the War of the Immortals. Oh my gosh. Think about that. What is that? I mean, the War of the Immortals, right? Maybe hidden in that is how immortals surrendered to mortality. What is the true Dharma here? Well, I talk about death urge, we talk about birth trauma, we talk about potential even immortality. And sometimes people are shocked about that, right? And I make a statement, there's no death in God. There's no death in even the Holy Spirit, the giver of life. There's no death. But in our DNA is recorded death, because in your family bloodline is 99.9% of the people have died. People look around, they see people dying every day, especially in the last 3 years because of what, right? And it's accelerated. But all that's teaching us is what? How death works. Tai Chi Gong isn't about how death works. Tai Chi Gong is how life works. That's right. And so when we talked about the Siddhars yesterday, their teachings is a teaching of life, of light. of energy, of everything the opposite of Yama, the Lord of death, right? Prana means vitality, energy, just like Qi and Tai Chi Gong, just like Ki in Japan and Aikido. Where does death fit into that? Well, Jesus said, make death your footstool. He also said that death would be swallowed up by life. Paul in Romans says, in the twinkling of the eye, we shall all be changed, but not everyone will taste death. Why are these saints saying that? Why are these immortal beings saying that? If there's people dying, it means the people show us how death works, and they surrendered to their parents' DNA. Because we have examples of people who didn't do that. Enoch and Delivery and Patriarch in the Bible. Father's the oldest mortal in the Bible. Well, the second oldest mortal outside of Adam. Adam lived over 1,000 years before he died. And Methuselah, which was the grandfather to Noah and the flood, right? Right? And Noah lived over 400 years after the flood. All that longevity, right? So there's Enoch lived 360 years old. God took him into heaven because he was a priest of righteousness. And in the Lamasery, righteousness means right use of God's law. Oh, maybe there is the answer. Right use of God's law. Maybe the people dying are not using God's law. What is God's law? The Dharma, the path of God, or the way of God. Whether I'm Chinese or Indian, I'm saying the same thing. Then we have to follow God's way. Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. He was the way shower. What was he saying? The cross represents your past. Let go of your past. Remember, Jesus's truest teaching is the 40 days after the crucifixion, not the 3 years going up. The church will teach that the 3 years and the crucifixion was the most important thing for you to remember. That's wrong. The most important things for you to remember is when the stone rolled away. And the 40 days before Assumption and Ascension, that's what's important, because that's all about life. That ain't about death. And that's what you can take to the banks, brothers and sisters of the Circle of Chi. Baraka Bashai. I'll see you on TGIF, Shangri-La Friday tomorrow. It's not too late to sign up for Lama G's webinar tomorrow, 2 hours. We have the best time on Shangri-La. Just ask any of our members. We'll see you there. Don't be late. Bye-bye.